Hey there YouTube, it's BlueDog815G. Today we're going to be having a look at a bike that I built over the winter. Some of you might remember the Gary Fisher Aquila frame that I picked up on Craigslist for 20 bucks. Well, I finished the frame over the winter and I did promise to do a walk around video of that for those of you that might be interested. I know my channel is a little bit all over the map as far as drones and RC cars and now bikes, but bikes are kind of been in my wheelhouse, so to speak, no pun intended, for quite some time. Drones is kind of a new thing, but up and coming for me. So without further ado, let's have a look at this bike. Alright guys, here it is. Now if you guys remember back to the old video of just the frame set up on the work stand, this is basically it built up now. And you're going to notice that some parts on this bike that are takeoffs from the Gravity FSX yellow bike, and I'll put a link in the description below. You guys can check that video out. But basically what this is a opti-butted true temper chromoly frame. Opti-butting is nothing more than a process by where when the frames are extruded or drawn, they make sure that they build them with more material on the ends and the junctions. So for instance, the down tube and top tube junction here, the frame tube right here from probably, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 inches in would have more material or thicker walls, and as the frame gets towards the center, it's actually tapered, or they back off the wall thickness, which causes a more resilient ride to absorb road shock, trail shock, that type of thing. Provides a really comfortable ride. If any of you have ridden a true chromoly butted frame, you'll know what I'm talking about. The butting process also, again, being that the frame ends, or the tube ends, are actually thicker walled, it provides more schmirvelips. It will provide more sturdiness to the frame, actually making it more robust on a trail. So that being said, what I've done with this is added some parts that I had on another bike frame, and this is the end result. We're looking at a lot of the same parts I had on the other frame, all low cost, bang for the buck parts. I'm all about frugality. I'm all about saving some money, but knowing what to buy by trial and error, and being around bikes and building bikes and working on bikes and riding bikes my whole life. But basically started racing in the late 90s, mid to late 90s into early 2000 when I met my current wife. And so I know enough about this stuff to know what works and what doesn't. This is a representation of what does work. So some of the stuff you're going to see on here you may not have seen before, some you will recognize. The first point is the cockpit componentry that I chose. The XLC butted, this is a butted riser mountain bike handlebar. I didn't cut it down, I left it at the full width. I may end up cutting it down if I do any more woods riding with it, because some of the trails that I ride on, or would be riding on, would be a little on the tighter side, and I want to make sure I have enough clearance to get through. The stem is a carbon fiber over molded onto aluminum, FCFB branded, Chinese made. Yeah, I know, Chinese made. A lot of the components we're buying nowadays, guys, unless you're buying, really super expensive boutique parts, they're going to be made in China. This is a decently sturdy stem. It's the right length. It works out for my my reach, what I need for my reach. The shifters are Sunrace M50, actually M53. They're 8-speed, so I've got 8 in the rear, 3 in the front, giving a total of 24 gears. About 18 of those are going to be usable due to chain variances, and you don't want to be stressing your chain line. So about 18 of those are going to be usable. The brakes are Originate VMAX brakes. They are the levers, I should say. They are working out really well. When I first got these things out of the box, I was kind of hesitant because they looked a little on the long side, but they are very comfortable. They're 3-finger brake levers. And what I'm really looking for on this bike is the old Derailleur, Shimano Derailleur one finger or two finger levers. If you guys have seen those, the LX and the XT, they made them. They were back in the 90s, right when V-brakes started coming out, they made them, and at component level. The fork is a SR Suntour XCR with 32 millimeter stanchions. This is a chromoly sliders with magnesium fork brace and stanchion. It is a it's nice in the sense that it does have oil damping. Also, it does have the RSLO, which is basically remote lockout. It's mechanical. It's actuated by a like a standard shifter lever, cable and housing. It goes onto the top of the fork crown on the right side, and it's either on or off. And what I like about this fork so well is, and I've tested a couple of different ones, to me, this particular fork, while it is a little bit on the heavy side, right under 5 pounds, it still seems to work the best for my needs. Number one, it's very, very plush, so I can dial it in with that with the damping, oil damping on the right leg here. Actually, I'd be on the right leg if you're sitting on the bike, but on this leg here, I can dial it in. The rebound, the rebound is adjustable over here too, so the preload is adjustable on this fork leg. And what's nice is, if I ride to a trailhead, which in most cases I will, I can lock this thing out, and it's like a rigid fork. There's no bobbing, no flex. It really, really does change this fork into a rigid feeling fork. And on the fly, as I'm riding, boom, I've got 100 millimeters of travel. On the front side of the bike for brakes, I have Tektro Novella disc brake. This is a disc-only fork, so I had to utilize a wheel that I had that was disc compliant, and it's 160 millimeter rotor on here and Novella disc. So basically this is a cable actuated mechanical disc brake. A lot of people might poo-poo those and say, oh, they're not the greatest, you need to go with hydraulics. Hydraulics in my experience are problematic. They tend to leak, they tend to fade, all those types of things. I've had nothing but good luck with these Novellas. Some people will say they're crap. I think the opposite. If you know how to tune them, you know how to set them, you know how to do all that kind of stuff with them and adjust them, they work perfectly. Give them a little chance to break in and they will stop you on a dime. The wheel set on here is going to be a Maddox double-walled rim. What's nice about this is you can actually use this with rim brakes as well, because it does have a not a machine sidewall, but it does have a tall enough sidewall that a caliper style or V-brake would work on it. Tires on both sides are going to be Pan-Racer Fire XC Pros. These are wire beaded tires, dual compound, very nice on the road and very, very nice on the trail. Stopping the rear of the bike, we have Tektro linear pull style brakes. This is going to be like your V style brake, cable actuated again. They work out really, really good with the levers, as do the disc brake, as does the disc brake in front. So I'm very, very happy with this setup. Now, being that this bike was built in the pre-V-brake days, I had to make some modifications in order to get a cable stop to run V-brakes on. This is the old style here. You can still see the old brake noodle, if I can get a picture of that, right up on my finger there. That's the old brake noodle that would run down. The cable would run down into a wire yoke and would have cantilever style brakes on it. I didn't want to put cantilevers on here. I wanted to use the V-brakes for extra stopping power. And being the frugal guy that I am, I ended up using a ferrule off of a road bike brake setup. This is actually from a road bike cable stop for front brake, rear brake, whatever. And a automotive hose clamp. Doesn't look pretty, but boy, I tell you what, it works. The rear wheel is going to be a Vuelta Zero Light double-walled rim. This has a Shimano hub, and it's a steel ball bearing hub. Very serviceable, very sturdy, very sturdy, and seems to be working out really good. I recommend the Vuelta rims and Vuelta components. I've actually done a couple of bike builds for some customers. One was a buddy of mine that built up an older Fisher frame, and I used a Vuelta Montagny or something or other mountain bike crank that's working out really good. He's a heavier guy and he hasn't twisted it yet, so that's definitely something to be said there. The drivetrain on the bike is a mix of stuff that I've had from other bikes, as well as some stuff that I picked up on the side. What we're looking at here is a SR Sun Tour crank set. It's a 22, 32, 42 small, medium, and large rings. It is a riveted crank set, so these are not removable rings. That's fine. If I ever break it or twist it or bend something on it, I'll replace it with a better crank. But right now, very sturdy. I see no reason to replace it. The bottom bracket, which we can't see on here, is a Shimano, I believe it's a UN55, and I'm pretty sure it is a UN55. I'll make a correction if it's anything other than that, but that's basically all I'm going to use for bottom brackets is our Shimano. This is a square taper bottom bracket, tried and true, been around for years and years, and just works. The front derailleur is a Shimano Altus. It's actually a high pull derailleur, and you don't really need anything more than this. Altus is kind of an entry level into mountain bike componentry, and I've yet to break one of these. In fact, I actually raced a Shimano Altus front derailleur on a old Diamondback V8 full suspension rig back in, oh gosh, 1997-98. The chain is a KMC Z chain. I'm not quite sure of the model number. I think it might be a Z21 or 81, and I'll make a correction in the description below to let you guys know exactly what that is. I am a firm believer in KMC chains. Nothing but good stuff. There's no reason to go out and buy a hollow pin anything kind of chain for the type of riding that I'm doing, even racing, dare I say. It's a good chain, suitable for 7 or 8 speed rears, even a 9 speed. 9 speed might be getting a little on the wide side to fit through the derailleur cage, but all said and done, KMC really makes a really great product at a really great price. One of the most important components on the bike for shifting properly under load is going to be your derailleur. So I didn't skimp on this one. This is something that I had lying around from a bike build that I did years ago, and a customer just kind of left it behind, so I had this in my private inventory. This is the old tried and true Shimano Derailleur XT. Full race ready. What can be said about Shimano Derailleur XT that hasn't already been said? The stuff just works, and it's pretty much bomb-proof. All said and done, I think I've got maybe $250 into this bike with the frame and the components. Possibly, yeah, about $250, maybe $275 in it. The seat is the last basic part that we're going to look at, and that's going to be a Sunlight C9, which would be the Cloud 9. This is a hybrid style seat. It's a Lycra covered, and it's pretty well padded. I may change that out as my fanny calluses increase. I haven't been on a bike and doing any really serious riding in a few years, so if I do end up getting on this thing any more than just a few, a handful of times this season, I will be investing in a better, more supportive, I guess, and more racy, more easily maneuverable on saddle. The seat post, your standard operating 27.2 aluminum seat post, 350 millimeter length, so it'll go pretty high. This bike size is a large. It's actually fine for me. I can either go large or medium. I'm about 5'10", 5'10 and a half, almost 5'11", I guess. So it works out fine. For pedals on here, and this will be the last thing, guys, I'm using some VP Victor Products SPD type pedals. I'm using specific shoes with cleats. I like the pulling power I get, the full rotational power that I get by using that type of pedal. I could easily put clips and straps on here, but I'm so used to riding with clipless pedals from my racing days that this is just kind of second nature to me. So this is pretty much it in a nutshell, guys. This is what can be had for just a little bit of money. It's trail worthy. Again, not race worthy. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but in case I did, again, not race worthy, trail worthy, as well as utility worthy. I could take this bike down to the local store and pick up a couple of groceries on it and be happy. Or I can take it and throw it on my bike rack, ride it up, drive up north, and get on the trails and have some fun with it. Either way you go, frugality pays off. If you know what you're looking for, you know what to get, you know what works and what doesn't, you can wrench on the stuff yourself. This is what can be had for about 250 bucks. You go into a department store, you go anywhere else, and you look for a $250 bike with newer components on it like this, custom built, pretty much ready to ride, completely set up, you're going to find garbage. There's going to be garbage. You're going to be finding a department store bike, or you may end up finding who knows what if you look on Craigslist. Things you got to look for with these bikes are cracked frames, those types of things. If you don't know what you're looking for, just, buyer beware. If you guys have any questions on the bike at all, any questions on bike wrenching, any questions on anything concerning bikes, drones, or whatever, feel free to put it in the comment section below. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and we'll see y'all in the next one. Moodog 815, God bless the Republic. I'm out of here.